And what's fascinating about this group of people here is that they're not cohesive. Like Robert Kennedy is, I would put him on par with Joe Biden in terms of like at least Zionist rhetoric and insistence. I would say that too of Tulsi Gabbard and probably Bret Weinstein. Even Taibbi to a certain extent. Russell Brand is a fundamentalist Christian now. Like, it's unclear to me, like, what this is. Like, this feels self-organized almost. Like someone without a strategy put this together because they just are like, it feels like a total grift.
I was waiting for somebody with clout to go after these absolute fools, these jabronis. You guys might remember, what was it? The Rage Against the War Machine rally or whatever. This kind of gives me those vibes. Just a deeply unserious cadre of people who make their living grifting like they're left wing, but their entire audience is made up of right wingers who just want to hear about how bad the left is. How, oh, when I was 25, I was a leftist, but then the left got so crazy, that when I was a divorced dad, they stopped being relatable to me. So it's got like Matt Taibbi, it's got RFK, it's got Jimmy Dore, and then you of course got Russell Brand, who will go anywhere to kind of camouflage himself and insulate himself against the fact that he's a sexual predator and everybody knows it now. So he's going down the televangelism route. He's, all that jazz. Tulsi Gabbard, who went from endorsing Bernie Sanders to Joe Biden to Donald Trump in quite a speed run of the MAGA movement. She's there, and they're all talking about how crazy the left is and how you just can't negotiate with Kamala, and Trump's our only choice. So super excited to watch Sam Seder just absolutely lampoon these.
Yeah, let's check out this video from the Majority Report talking about the Rescue the Republic rally coming up. Another one of these sort of grifter events, like you said, Grifter Con, as Sam Seder put it in the headline. Very much so a sequel, I would say, to the Rage Against the War Machine rally. But now we got the Rescue the Republic. And not only is this convention or rally or what, not only is it replete with commentators, it also features a couple musical guests. So let's take a look.
Skillet?
Sam Seder's going to break it down.
I will pay you if you go to this thing and you can get video or report back on this. It is, let's just read off it's Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is the lead draw. Tulsi Gabbard, Bret Weinstein, Russell Brand, Zuby. I don't know.
They have Tulsi Gabbard's military, Lieutenant Corporal Tulsi Graham.
Lara Logan, who's incidentally completely insane. Matt Taibbi, arguably. Dr. Robert Malone, anti-vaxxer. Dr. Pierre Corey, I'm not sure who that is.
He's another anti-vaxxer.
Heather Hang, that is Bret Weinstein's wife. Jimmy Dore, as you know, a lunatic. Colonel Douglas McGregor. I can't remember exactly what his insanity is.
He was the chief architect of the Iraq War on his website.
Yeah, do you want to remind the people of who Colonel Douglas McGregor is, Zach? Because we actually have an interesting bit of Vanguard history that directly relates to this individual.
Oh, yes. So for people who are new to Vanguard lore, we got in a huge debate with this guy, Aaron Maté, chieftain of the gray zone left, where he's the first to say, oh, you can't talk to this politician because one time they said something nice about Joe Biden and he's a war criminal, or, all that guilt by association bullshit. So we pointed it out to him that, hey, why are you having Colonel Douglas McGregor on your show to talk about how he's so right on the Ukraine war issue just because he's cheerleading every Russian talking point, when this guy has on his website that he was the chief architect, his words, not ours, chief architect of the Iraq war. Oh, also, by the way, your number one issue is Israel. This guy's out here weeks after 10/7 talking about how Israel has to defend itself. Israel has to respond to Hamas. All this craziness, but you guys are going to bring him up here at an anti-war rally, of course, or Rescue the Republic rally, as if these guys haven't all endorsed Donald Trump, one of the major two-party candidates. It's absolutely insane. Aaron, of course, got super bad in his fifis, threw a tantrum, got all of his little goons to try and destroy our little humble podcast, but we built back better, buddy. And now, look, the chickens have come home to roost. We were 100% right. This guy's just a ridiculous, low-hanging fruit propagandist.
Yep.
Fascinating about this crew of people the Rescue the Republic. Like this is the sort of like, this is the group of people who is sort of like ostensibly, you know, going to peel off. Like I remember like there was like a cohort of people like this in the Clinton Trump campaign,
Max
right?
Blumenthal's dad, right?
And
Jesse Blumenthal.
less so in the Biden campaign. There was a cohort of people who were supposed to speak to the left and peel off votes or create dissatisfaction amongst, like, you know, the left and similarly situated people. And what's fascinating about this group of people here is that they're not cohesive. Like Robert Kennedy is, I would put him on par with Joe Biden in terms of like at least Zionist rhetoric and insistence. I would say that too of Tulsi Gabbard and probably Bret Weinstein, even Taibbi to a certain extent. I don't know about the others.
What was that?
I said Taibbi's fallen so far with disgrace, dude. I mean, look at this. We've got the Hunter S. Thompson for sheriff on the freak power ticket behind us. You know, Matt Taibbi was one of my first favorite writers that covered politics, guys.
Yeah, you're right, though. Matt Taibbi has fallen very far. In fact, it wasn't all that long ago. He was saying things like this, Zach.
Ambition in life in my media career, which is that I want Zac and Gavin from the Vanguard podcast. I want them to become the biggest thing on the internet.
Man,
right.
I guess we won Matt back. And that's proof to show. Good for Matt. You know what? Despite the fact that we've done nothing but relentlessly mock him ever since he decided to become PR guy for Elon Musk's Twitter.com, I guess we still haven't lost him. You know what, Gavin? Let's go ahead and play that one more time. Let's go ahead and enjoy that one more time because it makes me feel good.
Ambition in life in my media career, which is that I want Zac and Gavin from the Vanguard podcast. I want them to become the biggest thing on the internet.
Many people are saying this, but anyway, let's hear some more from
Russell Brand is
old pal Sam.
Is a fundamentalist Christian now. Reborn. Laura Logan, I don't know. I mean, she's not even allowed on television on these right-wing outlets because they think she's so crazy.
Well, these people are so crazy enough that they think anti-vaxxism is a left-wing ideology.
Yes.
So, like, that's half of this list is just people who have vaccine anxiety.
Yes. And so like their constituency is, you know, it's like Trump's constituency. Like it's unclear to me, like, you know, what this is. Like this feels self-organized almost. Like someone without a strategy put this together because they just are like.
Well, that is exactly the point, everyone. And I think Sam is getting to it. But what it is it's not a political strategy, okay? The point of it is to drive and mobilize towards these individuals' podcast platforms, these individuals, you know, individualistic media efforts, right? Russell Brand's got his project. RFK just wants people's eyes on him. He doesn't need money. He's got his Kennedy inheritance. Tulsi Gabbard absolutely desires the status of like a Tucker Carlson or like a Joe Rogan or somebody who can just be a media don. Bret Weinstein. If you guys don't remember the Weinstein brothers, Google Weinstein's Evergreen College. Okay. They literally were the first people to capitalize divorced dads hating college students. Okay. And they got on Joe Rogan's podcast and the rest is history. Okay. But it's not about any sort of political goal. It's not about outcome. That's why you can see Matt Taibbi, this, you know, Colonel Douglas McGregor, Jimmy Dore, Russell Brand, RFK. These guys, they don't have any real through line other than the fact that they have created a community of people who are vulnerable and black-pilled and dejected, and they know that they can commodify them together, and this is a way to turn them all out, you know, stoke the coals.
And to make money.
It feels like a total grift. Like it's just a total, like all of these people, 100%. The only sort of cohesive, like sort of like fundamental shared vision is we need to monetize this right now.
We need some attention.
Yeah, it's fascinating. It really is fascinating because it doesn't have the same political salience as the, you know, sort of like, I mean, many of these people, like, you know, Taibbi would have had more influence, 4 years ago, perhaps, amongst people who would potentially vote for Harris. He doesn't have that, people have written him off. Same with Dore. They have written him off. Jimmy Dore has never had, since 2016, I think, any listeners who would vote Democratic in any circumstance whatsoever. I'm sure there's a small cohort of like disaffected Democrats who are anti-vax, but they're gone. They were gone anyways. I mean,
do you think that's mostly true?
Yeah, I think for the most
At this
part. I
point.
mean, the only thing I could potentially see with Jimmy tricking independent or moderate is like, there are a decent portion of just normal people out there, right, that are like not super staked in their ideological conviction. They're kind of just like, you know what, I'll believe whatever the most convincing person tells me, essentially. And I do feel like Jimmy, like certain people like that are vulnerable to a character like Jimmy Dore because they might just come across his feed. Some, uncle might send them a video or something. And because Jimmy Dore is confident and somewhat charismatic, he used to be more charismatic, but I feel like he could kind of get his hooks in the mind of someone like that. Again, someone that doesn't really have strong ideological convictions, someone that might be vulnerable to conspiratorial thinking, but that isn't a partisan Republican. You know the type I'm talking about?
Yeah, absolutely. And also people who just don't identify politically, right? I think would be the most likely people to fall for him. I'm thinking of either young people who are first getting their political footing, 18 to 22, and then people who are, kind of older and dejected. And
I don't think Jimmy's appealing to many Gen Z or
not anymore. No,
Yeah.
I just mean that because they said going back to 2016, and I do think at one point in 2016,
sure.
Jimmy had more young people listening to
Oh,
him.
yeah. I mean, back in Jimmy's golden era, when he was actually a progressive, I was a fan of his content. Nowadays, he very clearly caters to boomers. If you look at videos from his rallies, you're going to see a lot of white hair in the crowd. You're going to see a lot of white skin. And you're going to see a lot of white
A lot of
hair.
oxygen tanks.
Yeah, exactly. So, it's clearly that crowd. And it's the same play as the evangelical stuff, the televangelist, right? And it's exactly what Sam Seder identified. The whole point is to find a segment of the population that's easy to exploit in a monetary sense, that's easy to grift off of. And in the same way that televangelists have found a very vulnerable population in which they can monetize, it's the same exact thing with these Republicans that go down these, anti-vax rabbit holes and these sort of conspiratorial rabbit holes, again, because who's paying attention to that sort of content? Well, it's people that are frankly ignorant and gullible. And those are the people that are easiest to exploit for money.
100%.